Good evening. This is Wallace Gator Bradley, the host of the Bradley Report, the president of United in Peace, Inc., and this show is being made possible under the guidance and the direction of the chairman of United in Peace, Inc., none other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. Got a very interesting show for you. I'm going to give you an update on what happened with my brother, my deceased brother. And we're going to get into the matters at hand. We're going to talk a little bit about the $1 billion suit against McDonald's. We're going to talk about nursing homes. But with all that, let me first say that everything that's being made possible today is with the assistance of Brother Omari. So I want to say to God be the glory. That's my story. And let me share with you about the importance of the code. Pick up that gun and you fire that gun. Anyone that get harmed from you firing that gun, that's an innocent bystander. We asking the community, ostracize them, push them out, don't let them hide anywhere, don't support them, and let law enforcement do their job. The code is this: if you pick up that gun to solve your problem, I'm not endorsing violence. I'm saying you're violating the code if you discharge that weapon and innocent people get shot or killed, especially a child or an elderly person. And the community must uphold that code.
He got his shoe shined.
The reason that it worked in the 90s, because everyone was a part of it. Kids, women, elderly, was off limits.
You didn't touch him.
Didn't touch him. By ostracizing from the community, pushing you out of the community, not supporting you in the community, or protecting you in the community, so that law enforcement can do their job by apprehending you. And the Cook County State's Attorney can do her job by making sure that you get a fair prosecution. This is so that there's no retaliation in the community because you discharge or you fire that weapon at your intended partner. We all got to come together. Those of you, my name is Wallace Gator Bradley. I'm the urban translator, and I'm the president of United in Peace, Inc. We all got to come together to let it be known that Black lives matter everywhere. Regardless if a police shoots somebody that's black, it means twice as much to our community when someone black is shooting someone black.
With at least 8 children under the age of 10 shot in the city in just 2 weeks, some are asking if that code still carries any weight.
This is something that we got to do.
Gator catches up with some friends on Calumet.
That 1-year-old that got killed.
His conversations of late have focused on kids getting shot. He says the rule still applies.
We as men got to put it down and say, that still exists and never left.
We all got a responsibility.
We all got a responsibility, man.
But it never left.
I'm putting a call out to all the brothers. You know what we do. Put the word on the street that this is no longer tolerated. Me and Holmes work together and we know how it works. We've been able to help individuals turn themselves in of the community, kick them out for law enforcement to come and arrest them. Now is the time. Just like it was the video from Miss Frazier that let everybody know about the awakening of George Floyd. Somebody got a video, or we need to use our video to stop this senseless violence. And I believe that vengeance belongs to the Lord. And with that, I want to say, to God be the glory. And that's my story. You know, a lot of people know, and for those that may not know, my brother, James Kelly, people around the country know him as Rooks, was murdered. The guy shot him in his back. And at the funeral, I let it be known that vengeance belongs to God. And you may say, well, Gator, why do you say that? Because it was God that apprehended him. He allowed my brother to stay alive long enough to tell the paramedics and the police that the guy that murdered him or shot him, he was alive at the time, the guy that shot him thought he was dead. The guy that shot him called 911 to give the impression like it may have been someone else that came in there and shot him. But God had a better plan than his. When the paramedics brought my brother out, the police and the paramedics realized he was alive, and he was able to tell the police and the paramedics that this guy, and he told my brother, told his friend, that this guy, Willie Dunmore, shot him in his back as he was walking out the door. As they rushed my brother to the University of Chicago trauma unit, he still had life in him to what a point the police went to the hospital to take him an array of photos to identify the individual that shot him and to take statements from him. Why would he shoot him? Why would the guy, Willie Dunmore, shoot him? And my brother gave him all that information. While the police was questioning my brother at the hospital, they took Dunmore right on the scene as they rushed my brother to the University of Chicago trauma unit. They rushed Mr. Dunmore to the police station. And they did what they do, and they got evidence. They called it GSR, gunshot residue, off of him. So they locked him up. My brother died doing surgery. So therefore, that identification that my brother gave to the police and the paramedics and to his friend is known as what they would say a deathbed declaration. Still in all, I'm going to give you the update
He got bond out. So on the 17th of this month, they had his first arraignment. At that arraignment, Dunmore went to court September 17th for his arraignment. This was his first official court appearance before the Honorable Judge Peggy Sharpers in courtroom 307. She was assigned to hear his case. She is now the trial judge. I believe the assistant state's attorney who will be prosecuting him, Mr. Dunmore, I believe her name may be Chamberlain. When I get the transcript, I'll be able to read it because I got the transcript from what was said in the courtroom. The next court date is October 19th, 2020. The assistant state's attorney put the court and Willie Dunmore's lawyer on notice that she will be filing a motion to review his bond, Mr. Dunmore's bond. He got out on a $200,000 bond for murder. Ex-felon. Ain't supposed to have no guns, let alone shoot a gun, and definitely not have gunshot residue from shooting a gun that he used to murder my brother. The assistant state's attorney put the court on notice, which they do, notice that she will be filing a motion to review Mr. Dunmore's bond. By the mercy and the grace of God, his bond may be revoked because he's really a threat to the community. And because the state's attorney's office still feel that he shouldn't be out on bond. Why is that very important, Gator? I'm glad you asked. Because a lot of people think that when individuals get out on bond and then they commit another crime or they commit murder, like what I was reading in the papers, this young guy had a gun case, got on bond. They gave him electronic monitoring. Allegedly, he cut the band off, and then he committed a murder, and he got arrested. And the superintendent of police gave people the impression publicly that that was the state's attorney's fault. State's attorneys do not arrest people. Police do. They bring the evidence to the state's attorneys, and the state's attorney say if whether or not a person should have a bond. And a lot of times, just like in the case with my brother, the state's attorney's office said that Willie Dunmore shouldn't have a bond because the fact that it was a murder and there was a good chance that he may be convicted of the murder, and they were worried about the protection of the witnesses that was against Dunmore. But it was the judge that felt like Dunmore should have a bond and gave him a $200,000 bond. And he paid $20,000 and he's back on the street. So at the hearing, one of the things that came out, Dunmore's lawyer tried to get a November court date, stating that he hadn't received a copy of the indictment. How could he not get a copy of the indictment? I got a copy of the indictment. It's a matter of public record, the indictment. The judge let him know that Mr. Dunmore has a 6-count murder indictment. And she told the lawyer to get to her courtroom to pick up a copy that she had for him. I'm of the opinion that she is not going to play games with him. She let it be known he should get to the court before closing day to pick up his copy of the indictment. And they get ready and they put in their motions for discovery and they do all that. Let's move forward. Vengeance belongs to God. God apprehended him. The community didn't have to wonder who killed him. God made it where the victim was able to say who shot him in the back. And the irony of it all, my brother thought he was going to see a friend that he's known for 40 years. Dunmore's attorney also filed his appearance on the 17th, because now it's about the speedy trial. I'm praying for a speedy trial. Thousands of others are praying for a speedy trial. And God said where there's 2 or 3 in his name, I know 5. Me, my wife, my brother's wife, my brother's son, my brother's friends, Skip, and Brother Foots, and thousands of others are praying for a speedy trial. Because we believe that vengeance is God's. And after reading over the weekend the constant mass shootings that's happening within our community, I'm talking about mass shootings, I'm against, 100% against, police officers killing African Americans. 100% against it. And when a guy sent me a comment on my Facebook page that there's been almost 250 shootings this year across America, of police officers shooting African Americans. And I believe they all should be arrested, they should be prosecuted, they should have a fair trial, and if they're found guilty, they should be sentenced. But I responded back to him when he sent me the 250. Too many. One is too many. 250. I responded back to him. Were you talking about 250 shootings of African Americans by African Americans in the first 4 or 5 months just in Chicago? And I lost count of how many African Americans have been killed by African Americans across this country. Don't get me wrong. I feel the same thing that I feel for the police. It ought to happen to them. And the difference in why I'm saying what I'm saying, the police seem to always get away with the murder. They can't seem to find the murderers of the African Americans that's shot by other African Americans. Because the difference is, in my opinion, the African Americans ain't got a problem with saying this police shot someone. But they never want to say they saw where an African American killed someone. Be it a child, be it a woman, be it an elder, be it a man or a woman. Innocently, senselessly, they killed them. That's why the code is so important. We as a community of people cannot just stand by and let this go. And I'm not just speaking like it's just Gators' concern. There's a lot of people feel the way I do. So whatever happened to me ain't going to stop this push about this code. And I'm seeing results because I'm seeing where individuals are now being caught. I'm seeing where the community ain't got no problem ostracizing them when these babies getting killed. When these seniors getting shot and killed. Innocent ladies getting killed and shot. So they getting it. And that's why I keep pushing it. And I'm saying that's my part to help with eradicating the senseless shootings and killings. Okay? I'm saying everybody plays a part. It's a big quilt that's called the solution. Police have their part. State's attorney has their part. The mayor has his part, her part. The governor has his part. The police got their part. The people in the community have their part. And while I'm talking about the police, I'm reading the paper, just like y'all. I know you saw it on the news, where the FOP storms away from the contract talks after Mayor Lightfoot demands 17 pages of disciplinary reform. These are the same fraternal order police that protest against Kim Fox, whose leadership endorsed Trump. Fraternal order police that have yet to come out against the bad apples in the police department. Still believe that Van Dyke is innocent of the murder of Laquan McDonald. The union president felt like he was so insulted he would make a financial only counter offer and demand an up or down city council vote. Aldermen vote no will face opposition recruited and bankrolled by the police union. And it was brought to my attention that when the leader of the union made a decision without getting a full vote from the full body of the patrolmen or the people that he represents to endorse Trump, he did that with a few without letting the body know or ask them once they say so. I'm quite sure there may be 2 or 3 or 5, maybe, black aldermen that would have endorsed Trump, because anything is possible. But you can't tell me that all the Hispanics and African American patrolmen endorsed Trump. And the irony of it all, the union president, the FOP union president, he's on desk duty because he violated all kind of infractions of the police department. He, my opinion and opinions of others, they feel like how could he have been elected to represent the police union when he's a bad apple? And now he's talking about running candidates, supporting candidates against elected officials, aldermen, that believe that the police union has too much power over the police department to the point that they feel that it's a law, not a contract. They feel like it's a law with the police in control of it. The police department in Chicago need to be reformed. The legislative body in Springfield need to be making a law that says that police officers are inclusive in the law that they have, that if you shoot someone, you need to be held accountable. You got to face the consequences. You don't get a pass. Police officers that's covering up a murder shouldn't be getting a pass. Chicago police officers have waited more than 3 years for a new contract and the retroactive pay raise that comes with it. It is clear, get this straight for you, because I want you to see what I'm reading. It says Michael, right there, right there. Let me see, he says, we're going to see who shows up and who wants to do the right thing. He threatening elected officials, okay? They lead a protest against the state's attorney because she's against wrongful convictions because of police misconduct. They lead a protest along with white supremacists on the state's attorney's office at 69 West Washington on April 1st. I believe that was 2019. As if police misconduct is the law of the land. They feel that it is because they keep getting away. As if police misconduct, police torture, police murder is okay. They feel that it is because they keep getting away. Until here recently, since Kim Foxx been the state's attorney, police officers have been prosecuted, brought before a jury, found guilty, and now been sentenced to the penitentiary. What makes it so he think he can bamboozle and threaten the city council and the mayor and bamboozle the voters of the city of Chicago to support candidates against the alderman that's making a decision that they want to make things right and fair for everyone in the city of Chicago, including the police. Fair exchange is no robbery. They've had too much power. Mike Fritsch, the senior advisor and legal counsel to Lightfoot, fired off a letter to the FOP president of sabotaging the talks with unreasonable financial demands and a tone-deaf response to legitimate demands for police reform. And I quote him. He says, "We remain committed to working together towards a fair contract, but will never retreat from the reforms that are essential to restoring legitimacy and accountability." He wrote that letter September 16th. It is clear that you, talking about the president of the Fraternal Order of Police, it is clear that you are totally misreading this moment, the demands of the consent decree, and the needs of the public. It is unfortunate that you do not appear serious about reaching an agreement. Every day that passes that your members are working without a contract is now on you. Fritsch, whatever that is, further accused the Fraternal Order of Police of threatening to walk out of the room when I remind you that the city would not consider any collective bargaining agreement that failed to include accountability reforms. And I want to say to the senior advisor and legal counsel to Mayor Lightfoot, hooray, hooray, hooray. I want to say to the city council that believe in a fair contract, stand your ground, because things got to change. This went beyond Black Lives Matter. It's now a Black Lives Matter movement that's dealing with the totality of racism in its purest form. So Chicago, there's a consent decree that y'all have to uphold. And the Fraternal Police contract is too one-sided. It's as if it was made a law in Springfield as if it's an Illinois statute. And that contract that they once had need to be changed, because right now they're working without a contract. Stand your ground. And I want to say to God be the glory for you. Moving on. There's a suit One minute here. Oh. Last week, I spoke about the importance of our governor enforcing the Nursing Home Care Act, Section 8, against nursing homes that's not in compliance. The governor has publicly presented a list of nursing homes across Illinois that aren't in compliance. That means neglect is happening, abuse is happening to the seniors and the residents, even to the point of them dying in the nursing home because of the coronavirus. They're not having full staff there, especially at Salva, Westchester Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center that's in Westchester, Illinois, which is a part of Cook County. Now, the Attorney General of Illinois, nor the Cook County of Illinois can go in there and do an investigation and probably find criminal activity that's happening there. Residents are getting beat up and robbed. And that's public information. They can't do their due diligence because the governor will not order his appointed director to implement that statute that's known as the Nursing Home Care Act. I'm telling you what I know. Last week, Miss Lottie Smith had to be rushed to the hospital because they didn't have anyone in that nursing home that could give her an IV. Didn't know how to put an IV in her. So they had to rush her out the hospital. Out the nursing home to go to a hospital, emergency. They're supposed to have a staff there by law. And that's happening to a lot of nursing homes, not just in Illinois, across the country, to the point that the Department of Justice has been raiding nursing homes. I hate that they just raiding nursing homes because they in the blue states. Illinois is a blue state. So if they raid a nursing home here, they're going to say that the governor is not doing his duty to enforce an Illinois statute against nursing homes that aren't in compliance. And I'm talking about Salva. The nursing home providers accused of misusing federal dollars received millions in COVID-19 funds, according to a report. Okay? This report was written August 4th, 2020. The governor and his Illinois, the director of the Illinois Department of Public Health, has fired individuals in the Illinois Department of Public Health because they weren't adhering to the complaints of the family members of the residents of the nursing homes. Just like Loretta Brady, who's the daughter, the person that has the power of attorney over Lottie Smith in Westchester, sent all kinds of documents, pictures of Miss Smith being abused, neglected, allowed to fall down, or for all we know, they may have knocked her down. She's been to the hospital so many times in such a short period, even the doctor says something is not right there. So, the governor, I'm sure, accepted the firing of those individuals in the Illinois Department of Public Health because he had evidence and documents showing where they was doing something that wasn't wrong. Something that wasn't right. From March to June of this year, I'm aware of the documents because I've been at the press conferences that was happening. Responsible, myself and Andrew Holmes, for having the press conferences. For the family members of the residents in Westchester. So now that you got them documents, you see the things that's wrong to the point that you had to get rid of employees. One of them was a deputy director. That should give you reason to justify the ordering of the Nursing Home Care Act, Section 8. It's sovereign. Watch this. It says more than a dozen of those companies have recently settled lawsuits with the Department of Justice for alleged improper Medicare billing, forged documents, substandard care, and other abuses. The Washington Post found collectively the companies repaid $260 million to the government. The Inspector General of the Department of Health and Human Services, the same agency that distributed the coronavirus relief funds to the nursing homes, required that the companies undergo enhanced reporting protocols and staff training. Solver Senior Care, a nursing home provider based out of Georgia, is currently in litigation after being accused of putting elderly residents, Solver Care, a nursing home provider based out of Georgia, is currently in litigation after being accused of putting Salva Senior Care, a nursing home provider based out of Georgia, is currently in litigation after being accused of putting elderly residents into unnecessary therapy services and delaying and release of patients to reap higher Medicare payments. The Post found Salva Senior Care received $65 million in pandemic relief aid. Salva Senior Care, the nursing home provider, is their nursing home in Westchester, Illinois. It's called Salva Westchester Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center here in Illinois, that received $65 million in pandemic relief aid, that is now currently in litigation after being accused of putting elderly residents into unnecessary therapy services and delaying the release of patients to reap higher Medicare payments. That's breaking the law. Governor Pritzker, that's breaking the law. If the Department of Justice may be raiding them any day, and they are in Illinois, and they are in violation of the Illinois Nursing Home Care Act, Section 8, and you have not enforced that act, you give Trump the right to say that you may be responsible for the abuse and the neglect of senior citizens and residents of a nursing home that's under your jurisdiction. You giving him the right to say this, man. You got to enforce that law. I'm begging you. They begging you. Stop these nursing homes, man. You've had Westchester on your list of bad nursing homes, man. I'm appealing to you as someone that supports you, that's on the front line, convincing voters across Illinois that you will be the governor that's concerned about the well-being of the people of Illinois. I ain't hating on you. It's right that I'm asking you to do this. The people that voted for you, because of me out there telling them that you're the right man, reminds me of my obligation to make sure that you do the right thing, or to at least tell you or remind you to do the right thing for the voters. Enforce that act. It's a law. Especially with them dying in the nursing homes because of the COVID-19. And the reason I'm speaking so passionate about it, the majority of the people that's dying from COVID are African Americans. The majority of the people in Illinois, or a big share of the people in Illinois that's dying from COVID, are African Americans. Those that's dying, I've read where half of the count of the people that's dying are from nursing homes. And the majority of them are African Americans. I'm African American. We're 40-something days away from the vote. And you're going to be beating on the doors of the nursing homes and the senior citizens and telling them to come out and vote. And Trump ain't no good for you because he lied. And he did lie. And he ain't no good. Because he lied about the dangers of COVID. And we had almost 200,000 Americans that died. And I shudder the thought of how many of them were African Americans or African Americans and Hispanics. But we're talking about Illinois. Governor, you giving your briefing about the counts, about the COVID, how many bars can be open, how many bars can be closed, how many people standing together, how many are you doing all that. But you acting like it don't make a difference about you not enforcing that Nursing Home Care Act, Section 8. Think how many people will be alive today had you enforced that act. Something to think about. Because it's going to come to you. You can't get around it because you're aware of it. We all got to be held accountable. The voters got to be held accountable to come out and vote a true blue ticket. Those that they elect got to be held accountable for being right for the people. Salva, say this again for you, Governor, and my viewing audience, and share this. Salva Senior Care, the owners of Salva Westchester Nursing Home and Rehabilitation Center, located in Westchester, Illinois, which is in the county of Cook and the state of Illinois. And I'm glad that the county board president, Tony Prattwinkle, Brandon Johnson, and the other 16 Cook County commissioners passed a resolution called Save Our Seniors Act in order to let the governor know that he has to do what's right for the seniors and the residents of the nursing homes in Cook County for sure. Salva Care. Salva Senior Care, a nursing home provider based out of Georgia, is currently in litigation after being accused of putting elderly residents in unnecessary therapy services and delaying the release of patients to reap higher Medicare payments. The Post has found that Solver Senior Care received $65 million in pandemic relief aid. They're not doing it. They're not helping the senior citizens, especially in Westchester. Governor, please. And let me get on another note. McDonald's, you ain't been right. McDonald's is being sued for $1 million, $1 billion. And find that story for you. McDonald's. The McDonald's story. McDonald's franchise.
Trouble again with a lawsuit up to $1 billion with
Hold
a
it right
B
there.
dollars launched by black former franchise owners.
All right, start again. The McDonald's, yeah.
So McDonald's is in trouble again with a lawsuit up to $1 billion with a B dollars launched by black former franchise owners. And McDonald's was in fact one of the many corporations that publicly supported BLM. But as you may have noticed, a lot of these mega corporations' actions do not reflect their words. So McDonald's claims they have probably created more black millionaires than any other company out there. The lawsuit, however, says differently and suggests that McDonald's corporate has systematically placed black-owned franchise locations in bad areas and gave the good locations to white-owned franchisees. This is a very interesting case. The claim states that revenue at McDonald's is contingent, and this is very true. We speak about this on the channel all the time. It's a contingent on only one thing, and that's the location that you're at. And allegedly, these black-owned restaurants earned on average $700,000 less than a typical McDonald's location due to being placed in these substandard locations. Now, if you watch the channel, you know that the margins are not huge oftentimes with McDonald's or fast food in general. And just because you make $2 million a year doesn't mean you make any money after paying all of your expenses. Allegedly, many of these black owners had to declare bankruptcy. So franchisees noted that the decisions made became all about the shareholders while the franchisees were left out in the cold. And we see this oftentimes with these huge brands. After they become so big, they sell or they go public, and the nice little franchise turns more toxic towards the franchise owners. And we've covered franchises in the past like Subway and Tim Hortons. We'll put links up above where the exact same thing happened. And if you want to buy a franchise, this is something in your future, find a nice emerging brand and ride that sweet spot while it still has a family atmosphere and has not become so corporate centric. Now, what's also interesting is if we look over the past 20 years, black ownership of franchise locations has actually dropped from over 350 black owners in the McDonald's franchise system to only 186 today. That's about half of what the number once was. Another lawsuit that was filed earlier this year suggested that close to 100 black franchisees left while under the control of ex-CEO Steve Easterbrook. Now, Steve Easterbrook, you may have seen him in the news. He was the CEO of McDonald's up until 2019, but he was fired for having what we could call inappropriate relationships with at least 3 fellow McDonald's employees. They found dozens of explicit images that were sent to his home computer from work, including photos of employees. He also approved a stock grant that was worth hundreds of thousands of dollars to one of his romantic partners. Now, the rascal deleted all these images from his phone, but lo and behold, all of this stuff, of course, stays on the company servers as evidence. So Mr. Easterbrook was fired, and only received about half a year's salary as severance pay, which turned out to be about $675,000. Now, he may also receive about $40 million in stock options and other compensation. Now, McDonald's is suing Easterbrook to try and get that money back. Now, seemingly, Easterbrook is the tip of the iceberg, as another $500 million lawsuit, that's $1.5 billion altogether, alleges that McDonald's failed to protect its female employees at a store level from harassing co-workers. And teenage workers apparently are the most common targets of this abuse, and critics suggest the organization is simply mirroring what was happening at the top of the organization. You might recall back in 2014, a similar racially charged lawsuit. McDonald's franchise owner fired multiple black employees for no other reason than the store supposedly had too many black employees. It's unbelievable. The 11 employees had collective tenure of over 50 years and very solid work records. They were subject to ongoing racist comments and a toxic work environment. Now, when these 11 employees contacted McDonald's corporate, they were told, hey, deal with the individual franchise owner directly, and there was nothing that they could do. Now, this case was settled and pretty much swept under the rug of McDonald's lawsuit history. Subscribe to this channel. We're going to keep you updated on the latest in this lawsuit. We'll see what happens there. If you crave to hear the full version of the McDonald's,
You know, you're hearing it, not just from me. I know people have been seeing me walking around with the t-shirt, because you know I wear my issues and my concerns, not just when I'm trying to get a governor elected, or a state's attorney elected, or a judge elected, or an alderman elected. I've been wearing this t-shirt that says 365 black, to God be the glory, 365 black, McDonald's emblem, and then say 365 no Mac. Now you see why. You're going to be seeing, you heard how McDonald's been doing. Us as a people, supporting Black Lives Matter, but they don't want to support Black Lives Matter movement. Too late. The Black Lives Matter movement, Black Lives Matter, yes they do. Black Lives Matter movement matters even more against racism, corporate racism. You heard it? It's verifiable. I may be doing a couple of op-ed opinions. Wallace Gator Bradley, the urban translator, host of the Bradley Report. What's wrong is wrong. We've had leaders like Jesse Jackson and Martin Luther King and Al Sharpton putting them on blast. Get right. $1 billion suit. And I thank God for allowing me to become aware of the importance and the significance of this Black Lives Matter movement. And I stand 10 toes down in support, like a redwood tree, of the movement. And you're going to see where they going to put a board member on there, African American, become a board member. And you never heard board members come out and speak on behalf of corporations, but I bet you they're going to have a black one come out and speak. Going to hire a black lawyer to lead the charge so that they can use them to whitewash the serious issue by using credible and reputable, professional African Americans as a backdrop to sweep this back under the rug. It's not going to happen this time. I know a couple of people that they're using. I know them well. And I know of them. The lawyer that they're hiring, reputable lawyer, and she's supposed to get paid for her services. The brother that's on the board of McDonald's, a reputable man, and he need to be on the board. But just don't put them on the board or just hire them when you've done so much wrong, because you didn't have them there in the first place while you was doing all this wrong. And these are not rumors or fake news. These are verifiable facts from courtroom documents. That's public information. So, Mike, get back. Because, Mike, you ain't right about helping blacks. It's there. And we got to help McDonald's or any other franchise that's doing that to African Americans. Got to stand up and say, stop. The same way like we going at them bogus nursing homes. They need to be locked up. What they're doing is inhumane. Person believe in you to the point they put their savings in order to create generational wealth for their family to take over the restaurant. They can't take over the restaurants. You redlining them. Just like the real estate companies was doing to people that want to buy homes. Stop. Get right, because we coming at you. We beyond dropping to a knee, because we know how to drop to a knee to get your attention. Get your knee off black people's necks that's trying to earn a living from their investments with buying franchises from McDonald's. This ain't what Gator's saying. This is what Gator's sharing. You hear more of this. You hearing it here now, Shy. No black McDonald's franchises, man. Cerrito McSwede, Willie Wilson. Willie Wilson, I want to probably say to you, you're a wise African-American businessman. You got it with everybody. Got to get plastic gloves from you. And that's your business, and it ain't no franchise. Willie Wilson. With that, I want to say, got to bring it to a close. I want to say for everyone, this coronavirus is serious. I got my mask. I want to say, stay covered up, stay washed up, stay your distance. Most of all, stay prayed up. And I want to say, to God be the glory. That's my story. And I want to close out with this. Two great leaders have died in Chicago. It's Mark Allen, and that's Leon Finney. Mark Allen, I will forever hear your voice. Forever, I will hear your voice. And I'm glad I was able to tell you, thank you for letting everybody else hear your voice the last time, right before you died. And what they was hearing was you saying I was going to be on Munir's show, talking about the murder of my brother and the importance of the re-election of Kim Foxx as the Cook County State's Attorney. And telling people, don't choke, vote early for the November 3rd, 2020 elections. And with that, I want to say to God be the glory. That's my story.